Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Brand Ambassador Angela Wolf, and I am so excited to be with you today. Now, we are not live. I'm actually in the comments today. We pre-recorded this, but you don't want to miss this. We're talking organizing, and Cindy Hogan has a great project for you. See you in a second. All right, so we are streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting Facebook and YouTube pages. I can see all of your comments, although I won't be bringing them up on screen today. We will be in your comments. Now, Cindy has a great project. If you've been following along the theme in January, let's get organized. So let's bring Cindy to the party. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Ange, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I cannot wait for everyone to see what you're going to work on. It's a super easy project, but it's really cute.
So yeah, we are going to make organizational tags for our fabrics. I am one of those people that organize my fabrics in, what am I trying to say? A basket. So I do them by colors and I put them in a basket. And this is an easy way, especially if you color code your tag, to be able to identify which is in which basket. I am, as you know, I move all the time. We move where the husband's job takes us. And permanent storage solutions don't really work for me. So I can't put a cabinet up on the wall because I'm going to have to sell my house eventually. So I have, I get commercial kitchen storage shelving and I put baskets in there, and that's how I organize my fabrics. I've got baskets for pretty much everything. Baskets and bins are my thing. So
basket and bin girl too, but I think yours are a little more organized than mine.
Oh, well, it depends on what time of the year it is. It is the first of the time to reorganize them again, which this made me get out and decide, okay, how can we do this? So this is done. So we're going to pick one of the tags in the and send that to the Luminaire via My Connection, retrieve it on the Luminaire, and then turn it into a freestanding applique directly on the machine, no software required. And we'll add the text there as well. So we can get started.
That sounds good. All right, I'll follow you to wherever you're taking us.
All right, we're going to start at my cutting table, at my prep surface here. I have my standard mat, and I have my fabric prepared with the Brother iron-on fabric contact sheets. That's our fusible, guys. And I've taken the paper off the back. Now, if your mat is super sticky, rub it across your pants for a minute to get a little lint on it so that it doesn't grip your backing too much. One of the biggest tips that I can give you when you're cutting fabric for appliques is that you want to make sure, if you've got a fusible on the back of it, that it is well melted to your fabric. If it's not, it will not cut cleanly through, and part of your backing will stay on your mat. Not all fusibles are created equally. You're going to have to find one that you like. The Brother iron-on fusible does a beautiful job, but if you have something else, if it's not cutting through, I would suggest you try a different style. So we're ready to get started. Let me scoot over here. I have the standard black auto blade on my machine, and I'm going to turn my machine on. I must have just, no, it's our thing is over the top of it. I was thinking I must have just touched my machine, but I didn't. So here we go. We're going to let it wake up.
That happened to me yesterday. I was like, what is wrong with my machine? It was sleeping.
Yeah, I have to let it wake up. There we go. So now let's not resume our previous thing. I'm going to go ahead and put my mat in. I'm going to press the load button and load the mat into the machine. Once it's underneath the rollers, I can remove my hand. And let's go touch and get close up and see what we've got going here. So on the ScanNCut, there is on the SDX 330D and the SDX 325, we have a new function called My Connection, and you'll find it when you navigate to the left side of your home screen. you touch My Connection. This is where you send and retrieve things that you're going back and forth with the Luminaire. We want to send something today, so I'm going to touch the Send button, and I'm going to touch the Patterns key. Now, this general category here is where we're going to find our tags. And if I scroll down, I believe it is in this area right here. So let's grab that one. And I selected this tag right here. You can pick any of them. It doesn't matter, but I liked that one right there. It had a little bit of interest. It wasn't just a plain Jane tag. And I touched OK. I touched OK again, and I touched Set. Now, I'm going to send this to my ScanNCut machine. One of the things I want you to notice is that there is a gray side around the outside edge of this. That is indicating the largest size for the hoop that you have selected. Anything that's sitting outside in that gray area will not cut. So you want to make sure all of your patterns stay within it. So if I wanted to send 4 of these over there, I could, but I only need 1 because we're going to create it in my design center, and I want to actually cut the one that I create the applique from. So I'm going to go ahead and touch transfer. And it's going to ask me, do I want to replace what's in the data pocket? Yes, I do, because only one thing can be floating out in space at one time. So let's go ahead and touch OK. And it's ready for me at my Luminaire. So let's go to the Luminaire. I got to walk around the cameras. And let's touch our Luminaire here. So we are going to retrieve this in My Design Center. You touch My Design Center, and we're going to touch the Stamps key, which looks like the shapes, a circle and a square. So let's touch the Stamps shape key. And once My Connection is enabled on your Luminaire, you'll see the Retrieve from ScanNCut machine key up at the upper right-hand corner. Touch that key. It will refresh itself and bring up the last shape that I brought, and it will that I sent over. It will automatically show me that one. It will be highlighted in blue, so I don't have to go finding it. But if there's something that you sent previously that you wanted to work on, those are there until this pocket fills up, and then it will drop the last one up. So we're going to go ahead and touch OK. And now I want to show you something else before I do this. I'm going to do all clear here, and I'm going to show you a little trick. If you are going to embroider this and you knew you wanted a specific outline on it, you can select that, select the outline style that you want first, and touch OK. Then touch your Stamp shape key and retrieve from your ScanNCut machine. That shape is automatically selected, and you'll notice that that stitch is automatically applied. Instead of having a satin stitch around it, I now have a double run. What we're going to do is come in and grab our fill bucket, and I don't care what color I put in it, but in order to create an applique that has the inside and the outside, I need to have the fill bucket. But wait, I need to do one thing before I do that. I'm going to touch my selection menu, and I'm going to touch my little magic wand here. This is will let me identify exactly what I want. I want to move my little circle down so that I can make the applique go to the inside and the outside. And if I leave it like it is, it will not let me do that because the satin stitch just gets too wide. So let's just take that down a little bit. It doesn't have to be way down, but just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and touch OK. Now I can fill that with color. So touch your fill bucket, touch the area, and we're ready to go. We're going to go ahead and touch next because we are not actually going to stitch this applique. It doesn't matter. I can touch set, and it's going to tell me it's going to be converted to an embroidery pattern. And am I sure I want to continue? Yes, I do. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Now, here's where the magic of the Luminaire comes in with My Connection, in my opinion. I love this. Touch the edit key, touch the badge button, the badge key. And here you'll notice we have an applique patch, and that goes around the outer edge of what you've got. It would not do the inside. We've always had that key, but now we have an applique patch for selected colors. So when I touch that little key right there, I can tell it which colors I want it to create my applique from. And so it's going to combine those two colors together. I'm actually going to take off the black so I can show you how to turn something off. We're going to go ahead and touch next. The first option would do just the outer edge. The second option will do the outside and the inside, and that's the option we want to select. So let me touch that little key. I want it to be a regular satin stitch because I want it to cover very well. So I'm going to choose the satin stitch. And I think I chose a 4mm satin stitch. But if you try 4.5 and then you say preview, if it's 2, that one's actually perfect. So we're good to go. If you get the message, let me go way up here and see what happens. If you get this message saying the stitches were overlap and it can't continue, that means your satin stitch is too wide. So we can come in and take that down just a little bit. Once you do that, it should work. Just reduce your satin stitch down. What that is telling you actually is that this centerpiece would touch the outside, and it does not want you to do that. So in order for it to work, that's why I moved that little circle down. And if you can't get your satin stitch low enough, then you need to go back into my design center and move that circle down just a little bit further. Go ahead and touch next. And we are going to, you'll notice that I have black running along the outside edge. I'm going to come in and turn that off. So if you didn't select both colors at the first, you can go touch that color tile and touch the no sew key. We are complete. We're ready to go. I'm going to touch OK. How easy was that, Angela?
That was super easy. I just have a question for you because I know a lot of our fans, many of them have the Luminaire and the new ScanNCut that talk back and forth. But if they don't, could they do this and put it in a USB stick to take it to their ScanNCut?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
They have to have my connection. The only way these two work is through my connection.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, so now we're going to touch add. Now, wait a minute, Angela. Come pop back up here for a second.
I'm back.
What they could do if they don't have my connection, they could draw out this shape, okay? And then they could scan it in to a USB or scan it in on their scan mat on their machine. And then they could do 3-step transfers of that same shape. They could bring the first one in as a running stitch. Actually, they only need to do it 2 because you're going to use a fusible. So first running stitch and then bring it back in as a satin stitch. So they would want to save what they brought in basically in my design center. So it could be done there. It's just not as seamless.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So we're going to touch add and we're going to tell it what color we're going to do today. Since I have green fabric prepared, I'm going to come in and touch the font selection menu, and you look down through here and find a font that you want. I used number 11. You can pick whichever font that you want. And so we're going to type in green this time. When I first started this, I was doing green fabric, and I decided, I know it's fabric. I don't need to go ahead and touch green. And if I decide later on I want to put this with my heat transfer vinyls, that keeps me from having to make a whole new set of tags. I personally set mine after I'm done. I size mine after I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and touch set. And then I am going to go into my edit menu and choose size. And I changed it to medium and I'm good to go there. Now I wanted my green color. You don't have to do this, but if you like the visual, you can come in and grab the change color key. Scroll down to where you see your first black of your word. Touch this little multiple selection key so it picks all of those colors in that repeat and change it to green. Touch OK. And if it's where you want it, great. If it's not, you can move it up or down wherever you want. It's perfectly centered where it is, but it's centered from top to bottom, and I actually wanted it centered from here to here, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball this a little bit. There we go. Touch OK. And now I'm ready to embroider. So, I forgot to move something here. Hold on a sec. In order to switch cameras, I got to have a switcher over here. So, doesn't let me do that if I'm way in the back 40 over there.
You have to have really long arms.
Yeah.
I'll switch it for you.
You know that I don't have really long arms. All right, guys. So here we go. I have a piece of water-soluble stabilizer in my hoop. You can pick any hoop. This will fit in any of our hoops. It'll go 4x4 all the way up to whatever. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to show you before I do this part. Let's come back. So if I wanted to do multiples of these in my hoop, I'm going to return back just a minute. What I can do is I can come in and select all, touch OK, group those together, and then touch my duplicate key, my repeat key. This is the border function. And you can add them to the top and to the bottom. And then you could simply ungroup them and then arrow through and change the text. So let's come in here and let me change this one because I'm going to delete the two that I just added, but come in and touch your text edit button, delete everything back. And so let's say I wanted purple. I'm going to put my P in and then I can delete my first letter. So if I touch purple, delete the first one, fast forward, and then we can put in purple. So that allows you to actually edit and use what you've got in your hoop already and do multiples of them at one time. So I just wanted to make sure you knew you didn't have to do them one at a time. You could do multiples. So let's undo and get back to where we just have the single item. Now we're ready to embroider.
And, you know, I like the way you showed that, because if you were going to go make a few of these, I would want to use the largest hoop and make a ton of them all in one spot. Like,
exactly.
done.
Just cut your color, cut the, the fabrics, different fabrics that you want. But what I haven't shown you is how to cut. So we have our stabilizer here. So let's transfer this back over to the ScanNCut machine. So I'm going to touch memory, transfer.
Take us back to
I do have to take you to the other camera, don't I? So we're going to touch memory and send to ScanNCut machine. It's going to ask me, do I want to replace what's out there in outer space? And yes, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and touch transfer, and we're going to go back to our ScanNCut machine. Okay, let's get on the up close and personal one. As I said, I personally like to cut the exact shape that my applique created, because you never know if it's going to be the exact right size. So we're going to go back into my connection. So touch my connection. This time we are retrieving. So I touch retrieve. We are retrieving from our sewing machine. So we want to choose the wireless LAN device. Just so you know, the memory here is what you have sent and retrieved. And if you saved it in the My Connection area, it is the My Connections memory. It's not the entire machine's memory. So we're going to choose wireless LAN device. It will bring up my pattern and it's going to show you that it stitches. Well, if I touch this, it would give me that outer edge, but that's not the one we want. Since we have created an applique, if I touch the applique key, you'll notice there is my applique that I created. We'll go ahead and touch OK and touch set. I want to go in and touch edit. And I want to do object edit. Now, honestly, this one is probably the exact same on both sides, but in case yours isn't, let's go ahead and touch. We need two of them because we need a front and a back. And I mirrored mine. So this is your mirror key. Let's touch mirror and touch OK. Touch OK again. And now we're ready to see where our fabric is, because you noticed if we look at my mat, I've got space. I did not put this in the center of my mat. I did not put it anywhere specific. So I've got a little fabric up here that will probably work. And then I've got others down here. So let's go ahead and do a background scan. That allows you to use those scraps. So you don't have to have a big, huge piece of fabric for this item. It is actually going to be the perfect size. I have the black auto blade in, just so we know. The fabric blade is for when you don't have a backing on it. So this one is, we do have a backing, so we don't need our fabric blade. We're going to take this and move it on top of our fabrics. I love how visual this is. And if yours is too dark, remember the settings key here allows you to change the image density. So this is darker, this is lighter. If I'm using white fabric or a really light fabric, I go to darker. Most of the time, mine is on the lighter density. We're going to go ahead and touch OK. Touch OK again. And we want to tell it what do we want to do, because we can do so many things with our ScanNCut. We can scan it, we can cut it, we can draw it, we can emboss, we can foil. We want to cut today. You can do a test pattern if you're unsure of your fabric. I am pretty positive mine will work because I've actually already cut some. So let's go ahead and touch start. And it's going to start cutting. I'll let this cut. And you'll notice it measured the depth of the mat. Now it's measuring the depth of the fabric, and then it's going to cut. So that is what that auto blade technology does for you. It measures the depth of the mat, and then it measures the depth of your fabric, and it adjusts your blade for you in that manner. So now it's going to go cut my second one. And I will tell you, it's a good idea to keep the top one first, which is this one over here. When I come to take it off, I want to make sure, as I said, though, this one is not a big deal. We're going to unload our mat, and then let's go back over to the section, and I'll take them off. But you want to make sure that you keep the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom, just in case. So let's take off our excess.
You know, Cindy, I got to just say, a lot of people say, what is one of the biggest things that makes a ScanNCut so cool? Well, there's a lot of things. But one, when you scan in that fabric and you can see it, look at how you can move those pieces around. You don't waste any fabric.
I don't waste any fabric.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. This one's my top. This one's my bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put them just like that so that I know what I'm doing when I get to my machine. So let's go back over to the machine and we'll start that stitching.
All right. By the way, was there, just to be clear, was there any backing on that fabric, or did you just stabilize it?
Yes. When we first started this, I said I have the Brother iron-on fusible backing.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear because I know some people pop in later and they're going to be like, what's on that thing?
Yeah, I always use a fusible. And I have put the same color bobbin. I wound a bobbin, the same color as the thread that I'm going to use. So this can be, so you can look at it from the back side and not have any issues. All right. So remember, I have water-soluble stabilizer in here. I did not do the adhesive version of it. I just have water-soluble. We are going to go ahead and touch our start key. And it's going to stitch the placement stitch for my applique. And once it does that, I'm going to stop the machine will stop, and I'm going to press my top into place. I'm only going to do my top because I don't want my words to show through on the back. And it's just about done. We've got a little circle that it has to do. And I mean, honestly, if you did not want to put an adhesive backing on yours, you could use a glue stick and put this down. I just like the stiffness that the adhesive backing adds to this. Okay, so let's come over here. I have my little pressing station ready here. And I am going to take the top piece and lay it down directly on top of that placement line. And then press it into place. Oops, I got stuck there. Let's just press that down for a second. Oop, I moved. Luckily, I didn't. It's still warm. And if it's still warm, that's a little tip and trick you can know. You want to make sure you don't wiggle, because then it will be in the wrong place. But if it's still warm, you can lift it up. I don't know if anybody else has ever made that mistake, but I love it when I do it live.
I like your little pressing station. So cute.
So here we go. We're in, we're good. Let's go ahead and we're going to fast forward on the machine. So remember, I said I just did the top because I want to stitch the letters on top before I do my covering stitch. So we're going to go to the plus minus sign here, and we're going to fast forward to the text. And now let's go ahead and touch OK and press the down button, and it's going to stitch my text on here. While it's stitching that, I mean, as I said, this is really a simple, quick project. It has 6-minute stitch out. So by the time I've ironed things on, it's going to take me about 10 minutes total. And I'll tell you, I'm sorry, what?
That's not bad at all.
No, it's not going to take long at all for this to stitch. It really is a quick, easy project to do. And if you have multiples of them in your hoop at one time and you've got all of your colors cut already, you're good to go.
You know,
you
Cindy,
can have a blast and have them all done in a day.
I was thinking, you know, of course we're doing organizing right now, so this would be great for bins or organizing, but also throughout the year, we always, you know, if there's a birthday gift or a wedding gift, or you're going somewhere where you're bringing a gift, this would be such a great tag with somebody's name, maybe their birthday, something like that. It would be so custom and something that they could save.
For sure. And I mean, I've done these for, Christmas gifts for, you know, basically, but if you're giving something in a bag, that gives it a little bit something more personal and allows them to be able to have something to keep. And it could be an ornament next year if they wanted to.
That's very cool.
Oh, I changed speakers and you're not coming through now.
Can you hear me now?
Let's try that again. We'll just go back and come back to this one. You're just going to have to be as loud as you can be there.
That machine is so quiet, and you have a camera right there too.
Yes, I do. I mean, it's sitting right on top of it. All right. Actually, my microphone is right here. So we've stitched this. Let's go ahead and take it out of the machine and go back over to my pressing station. And now I'm ready to put my back on. So I'm going to basically, I've got a little bitty pad here. I'm going to place this on top of it. Trying to move my iron out so I don't melt my table here. I personally will trim these little trims off before I ever put my back on, because then they won't show up after you've stitched. And I'm going to show you my trick for having a pretty clean front side here in just a second, or pretty clean back side when we're done. So that's pretty good. I've got one little hair there. My scissors, I dropped them. They don't like me anymore.
That's like a not good moment.
Yeah, it is not. And those are my favorite little snipping scissors.
So that iron doesn't affect the stabilizer at all then, huh?
No, not at all. So, and remember, I did not use the adhesive version of the wash away. I used just the regular version.
Right.
So
and
now,
for those looking, if you go to your Brother dealer, it's a Brother product.
Yes, it's the Brother water soluble stabilizer. So now we're ready to put this back in the machine. Make sure that you get it underneath your foot, slide it in, and press the lever down. And now we need, whoops, wrong one. We need to go ahead and touch OK. We know we're not finished, so we need to touch that plus minus key again. We don't need the tack down stitch because we've adhered it with adhesive. All we need is our covering stitch. So here's what I'm going to show you that I do to make my back clean. So I'm going to pull a tail out. Can y'all see that? I've got a tail. I'm going to press the needle down key on the front of the machine. And I can't show you that with a camera today because I don't have one close enough to that. But your needle down, it's right next to the scissors, and pull it back up. And then pull your thread up to the top. And then you can hold both the bobbin and the top thread together. Press your, you see I've got them both here. Press your start button. And then let it get started. Once it's started, I go ahead and trim it off. And that makes it much cleaner on the back side.
Great idea.
So, and it will stop, and trim when it's done with the outside, and you can do the same thing for the inside area. Notice it's putting me a nice little zigzag tack down around here that automatically applies with that cover stitch, which is awesome. And you can see that it is directly on the edge of that fabric. So it does a perfect job with a freestanding applique. I love that about this function. I don't have to resize my applique pieces, guys. It automatically puts it in the correct spot. I haven't had to resize a single one with my connection. It is just like I did it if I did it in my software program. So that makes it oh so much more special. And it's going to do both parts of this, and you will be left with this. We're going to have to cut away our excess. Once the excess is cut away, we can just basically take a little paintbrush and wet the outside edges. So do you have any questions for me, Angela?
No, I'm just loving this. And I think my mind is just thinking of all the opportunities you could use for this. I mean, when you do, well, I only do this once a year when I bring cookies to people. This would be a great little gift thing to put on I'm just thinking of all the things besides organizing, because I'm not very good at that.
I think this is funny that we're all doing organizational shows when we are probably the most disorganized crew in the world.
What is the phrase? An organized sewing room is a waste of something. I can't remember how it goes, but it's really funny.
Well, the thing about it is we go from one project to the next so much that it is hard to
creative chaos. I don't know. Ask everyone watching, what is your favorite term for your sewing room? Because, a lot of times I know where everything is. It just isn't quite as organized as I would like it to be. We'll go with that.
Exactly. But we were talking the other day. I have been looking for my actual pressing station for 2 weeks now. I cleaned up for the family to come for Christmas, and I have no idea where I placed it.
I have to send you a new clapper. That's all.
I actually have the clapper. I know where my clapper is. It is in the other room, and I use it when I press. And I was going to tell him the other day when I was doing that quilt block that sometimes I use my clapper to make sure my quilt block seams are nice and flat. If I have it handy, it's a really nice way to keep your quilt blocks nice and flat. The seams where things are joining does a beautiful job with that.
Actually, for any of you watching today, maybe you're new to this or you missed Cindy's last show a few weeks ago. She actually showed how to use the new quilting software and sew together a mini quilt. It was adorable. So that was a great episode. I've gotten quite a few messages about that, Cindy. People are like, I want to find that software. Call your brother dealer. I put it right below.
I do like that software. It's lots of fun. Lots of fun. So do you want me to go ahead and show the other thing that we're planning on doing while this is still sewing?
Oh, sure. Why don't we do that? That would be great, because she has another great organizing tip, something that doesn't include embroidery, but it will work with your ScanNCut.
Okay, so when I'm working on projects, let me take my little dots off here. When I'm working on projects, and if I haven't finished it, I like to have a way to make sure that all of the pieces are together. So I found these soft-sided trays, and you'll notice here, this is my quilt block from the other day, and I've got extras that I was making, so I went ahead and put them in a bin. This thing totally collapses, and I love that it collapses, but you'll notice I've put in heat transfer vinyl here that this is in the works. So it's a quick, easy way. If you don't want to actually even embellish it, you don't have to, but of course we have to make it something that it relates. So you can do an in the works project. And then if you don't have anything in the works, you can just fold it up and put it away. Make sure that you put your little inside with it. And the little inside just kind of tucks right in here as well. And then you just you fold it up. Actually, I guess it was behind it. So yeah, just fold them together like that.
I have a ton of those bins. I've bought them at many different stores. Whenever I see cute colors, I love those. I never thought of putting ScanNCut on the outside with vinyl, because then I would know what's in the bins, because a lot of them, some of them have little plastic containers in the front where you could write something, but that's so classy looking.
I mean, it just really, and I can put it on my wire shelf, and I know that, hey, I need to get back to this. It's not finished. We could put UFO instead of in the works, but I don't like that terminology.
I like in the works. That's good.
So,
that font that you have on there, is that by any chance built into the ScanNCut? Because that's really cool.
No, that is not built into the ScanNCut. That is a TrueType font that I selected and used. And I'll show you that in a second if we have time.
Okay.
Oh, I'm tripping over something here. So let's go back over to the machine. It is finished, and I did not wait and trim off the back tail of my little circle, but no big deal. So here we go. Now let's take it over to our pressing station. And I'm going to show you my, oops, I left my scissors over there. Oh, well. I do need the scissors. We will never get this off otherwise. And let's see here. So basically, you just want to kind of trim up as close as you can on your water soluble so you don't have a big deal. And I'll tell you, I do have a little basket that I keep my extra in, my big scraps in case I may need to use them for something else. If it's big enough that I think a 4x4 will fit in it, then I will hang on to it. If it's not big enough for a 4x4, I generally do not. So we're just going to trim around. And there we go. So I'm trimmed, and I keep myself a little paintbrush here. And here's a little bit of water, and you're just going to take the water and rub it along the outside edge of this. And once I go around the whole thing one time, and then I come back and rub it again, and that'll take it off. And then I go press it with a pressing cloth over the top of it. I don't have one of those in this room right now, though. But it's super simple. And then you'll do the dot, so you can see how mine's going away. Actually, it's pretty much gone now. And then I'll touch the center of this on the front and the back. I got a little excited with my water there, which is why I would go press it. And then I'll rub. Sorry, what?
So simple.
It is very, very, very simple. And that's done. So once I rub that out, it's done. And I would trim off my extra little threads on the back. All right. So do we want to cut the in the works and show you how I did that in Canvas Workspace?
Or you could just show how you put it on Canvas Workspace, and they saw you cut it, so you could just show it.
Yeah. So just here we go.
But I love this project. I think this is going to be just fantastic. By the way, for all of you that decide to get organized in January, up above here, you'll see Brother ScanNCut, hashtag Brother ScanNCut, and hashtag Brother Sews. Be sure to share this on social, and maybe Brother will share what you're working on, because it's an inspiration for all of us.
Yes. So let's see here. Let me share my screen, and here we go. Now you can share it.
Okay, so now we're going to work on what she showed you on the bin, which I think is brilliant. I have a ton of those bins, and I can't wait to see how you did this.
And they're really inexpensive to get. So it's not like you're spending a fortune to organize. Those are inexpensive bins. And if you don't use, like I said, I like baskets, but the bins are perfect for this activity. So I'm going to come in, and I just said in the works with my text tool. And then I selected my text, if it's going to let me, there we go. And I selected a font on my computer. So remember, Canvas Workspace uses TrueType fonts. So I scrolled down till I saw the TrueType font that I wanted, which is Curls. And I made Curls bold. So you'll see there it's bold. And I just made it a little bit bigger. You want to measure the width of your bin. And once you've done that, now we do need to weld these letters together. because if we look at this right now, how it's going to cut, you'll notice that my T cuts over my H, not optimal. So we want to weld that text together. So on your edit menu here, you're going to go down, and where it says process overlap, this button right here is weld. Once you've done that, you'll notice how that is gone. So it's not going to double cut that area for you. And that's perfect. Now, to cut heat transfer vinyl, depending on the vinyl that you're using, but most heat transfer vinyls, unless they're fashion prints, require you to cut face down. So we're going to flip the project. Then all I did is went down and I touched the weeding box, optimized the weeding lines, and said, okay. And you'll notice how it adds my weeding box in. Now I'm ready to transfer that over to my ScanNCut machine. So if I go File, Export Transfer FCM File, and I'm going to go via the internet, but if you don't have a wireless model, you can just say Export FCM File. So, but I am going, and you would put your USB stick in. I'm going to transfer mine via the internet because I am connected wirelessly. We'll touch OK, and it's ready to cut.
That easy.
That easy. Now,
and don't forget to mirror image, or you're going to have to read it backwards.
Exactly. I mean, you could be that could be your mystery project, you know, your code for people not to know what you're doing. But yeah, you want to make sure you do that mirror, because if you don't, it is going to be reading backwards.
So do you want to take them to the ScanNCut to show how this shows up then?
I sure can. Let me flip cameras again, and you can take that off the screen. Let's find my mouse. At least this mouse is working today.
Well, it's live. You never know. Although we're not live, we're recording live. So that's when technology never seems to work quite right.
Okay, so let's come back over here to the ScanNCut close-up screen and go home. So I'm going to touch the home key. I'm going to say OK to clear my screen, basically. And this time we're going to go to retrieve data, because this is where you'll find things from Canvas Workspace. If you had saved it to a USB, it would be right here. I sent it via wireless, so I'm going to touch my computer wireless key, and there's the file. So let's go ahead and see. I may as well cut this. I've got a little gold HTV. Sorry for putting my head in the way.
Your hair looks fabulous, Cindy.
Thank you. I've got to give you all that, the look of the hair, huh? So I have put my heat transfer vinyl face down on my mat. How do I know it's face down? The dull side is facing up. The shiny side is facing down. Okay.
Okay.
That is what this particular HTV calls for. So we're going to load the mat in.
Now, just out of curiosity, are you using a different mat than you used earlier? Because I know a lot of people get confused about what mat they should use. Does it matter? Are you using...
I'm using the standard mat, but I am going to change blades. You can use the black auto blade, but you will get much more delicate cuts if you use the vinyl auto blade. So I'm switching my blade there. And I generally use my standard mat, or I will say I use it for a large majority of the things that I cut. I'm going to go ahead and do that background scan, and we'll start it. And I need to find my weeding tool while we're waiting on that. It's on my desk.
So, by the way, for those that have the newer models, it has the auto blade, so you don't have to change settings, things like that. Will this be a half cut or a full cut?
This is going to be a half cut, so I need to move it where I want it to go, because we want to cut through the glue and through the material, but not through the carrier sheet. So let's go ahead and touch OK. We're going to touch Please Select and Cut, because that's what we're going to do. And then we want to go into our settings. Oh, you know, a minute ago, I was wondering why my, that's pretty good. I was wondering why my fabric had one little hair on. Guess what I had turned on that I didn't look at? Half cut was turned on. I still cut through.
Cut it that beautifully, though.
Yeah. But I had my pressure up a little bit, so I guess. Anyhow, so we're ready to go ahead and say, I always test with heat transfer vinyl because that is, every heat transfer vinyl is slightly different and the density may be different. So I always test. I'm going to take my little test circle and move it down here inside so I don't waste a ton of vinyl. I can still use that little piece there for something else later, right? And if you want to, you can zoom in to see where it is.
I love that. You guys see that little red box that moved around? That is her little test cut. In case
This
you're
is
new
my
to
little
that.
test circle.
Cindy, this is such a great tutorial, especially because during the holidays, I know many people got one of the new ScanNCuts from Santa or from a friend or from whatever, treated themselves. And I know a lot of people say, I love the instructions. So,
well, and
job.
you know, Canvas Workspace is free. Use what you have. I mean, if you have one of the SDX 85s, it still is auto blade technology. You can do exactly what I'm doing. The half cut setting is there. If it doesn't matter if you have the biggest, the one that has the most patterns in it, like I have here. This does matter when it comes to my connection, but when it comes to actually cutting this, it doesn't. So it's going to cut my test circle, and we're going to check it out. Let me grab my little weeding tool here. And let's see where my circle is. There it is. I'm going to pick it and see. Perfect. I do one last check. That is, I look and make sure that it didn't cut all the way through my plastic. Okay.
Perfect.
So we're good. I'm going to go ahead and say start. And it's now going to cut the heat transfer vinyl.
Very easy to do. Very
easy to do. And you'll notice it's going to be, let me bring you up to the screen, 2 minutes to cut.
Not bad at all.
And once again, it's nice and quiet. So I can do this while I'm talking. It's actually quieter than my embroidery machine, which is awesome.
So for all of you watching, you know that we're in the comments right now. Although I'm not bringing your comments up, we can see them. So feel free to ask your questions because we'll both pop in there and answer those for you.
Yes, please do. Even though I will not be watching live next week, I will answer comments. I'm at a meeting all next week. So
and
you guys have fun. You guys have fun with your ScanNCut while I'm working.
There you go. That is so quiet, though.
It is super duper quiet, and you'll be. I mean, I am always impressed with how well this vinyl auto blade does. It does these delicate cuts so well.
So I know a lot of people say about heat transfer vinyl. Are you using a Brother brand?
Brother doesn't have all of the colors. Okay. This is the same style that Brother uses. So, honestly, I don't know which variety I have. I don't know if they have the gold or not. I can't remember. I don't have mine labeled by this one is Brother and this one is not. If I don't have the color that I need, I will go get it.
Right. So what you want to do is just check with your Brother dealer because many of them carry these products as well. And Brother does carry quite a few colors.
Yes, so they do. So we're going to unload our mat and then we'll go back over to where I work. There we go. And now for the magic reveal. Let's pull this off.
I always laugh about this part, especially when we're live. It's like,
Yeah. What did she just do? So that weeding box allows me to see where my vinyl was cut. Okay. So I'm now just going to cut that extra edge off.
Cindy, do you want to tell them what a weeding box is? Because I know every time we have a live show, someone says, what the heck is a weeding box?
What it does is it places a square around the outside edge of what you've cut and allows you to save your vinyl, basically. It keeps you from wasting a lot of vinyl. You don't have to guess where the edge of your item is. And then you can just simply weed, which means remove what you don't want off of the transfer tape. So one thing I will tell you is make sure that you get all of the little bits and pieces off the edge. If not, go back and cut it off. So I'm going to go back and cut that edge off there in a second. And then we simply come in here and take off the excess. and your text is going to be revealed here. Isn't this awesome? I'm going to put, we're not technically supposed to do this, but so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to play, and so it doesn't pick up on me, I'm going to put it on my mat.
Oh, then we can see better. Thanks.
You can see better. This is not the approved method of doing this, but
it's like having an
it'll
extra.
make it easier for you to see.
So by the way, those of you watching, I just going to mention, if you're on Facebook and you want to watch this again, share it to your page, share it with your friends. Maybe they just got a new ScanNCut, or maybe they have one, they haven't taken it out of the box. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to Brother Sewing and Crafting channel, because you won't miss a video then. You can always go back and binge watch.
Yes, indeedy. And we do love your comments. We do love that you are watching with us, and enjoy. We hope that you enjoy what we've come up with. That is always the challenge. So here, I see how I got a little extra stuck up there. I need to get that off. And you'll see down here at the bottom, I've got a few extra little bits and pieces too. Heat transfer vinyl can sometimes be challenging to see where the cuts are. There is a tip that I can give you on that one. After you cut, if you have coded it in the software to cut and draw, you could draw basically in one of the markers over the top of it, and then you can actually see it.
Great idea.
But this one is not that hard to get out. But I do want to see.
I think this is the hardest part, is picking out the little pieces. At least for me, that's my most challenging.
Yeah, I got to figure. I needed to figure out what needed to come out of this E, so I pulled it up so I could see. And now we're down to our last piece. This particular, the Brother heat transfer vinyl, which is this style. Okay, same manufacturer makes it. You can use with an iron, a regular iron. So you can, or your heat press, either one. If you have a heat press, you could do that. But this does not require a heat press. That is why I like the Brother vinyl. I can use it with a regular iron and know that it's not going to come off. But honestly, how often are you going to wash your bin?
Right.
So
probably never.
Exactly. So I've got a few extra bits and pieces. So I'm going to take this down to my straight line that I can see where my weeding box was. That's the other nice thing about having a weeding box, is it gives you a straight line to cut across. All right. Now,
that tool, the little tool that you're picking off the vinyl for those that don't even know what that is, that used to come in the Brother, it was like a little package. I don't know if they carry it anymore though.
They still have, I don't think you can get the tool kit totally, but you can still get the weeding tool and the spatula as a kit. And this spatula is worth its weight in gold. And this is the weeding tool that I'm using.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. So now you would simply, let's take our stuff back out of the bin here and fold that guy up. And I will take it and take the edges and go, okay, that looks like the center to me, and fold it. Basically, that gives me a center mark, and then I can place it where I want it to go. And then you put a pressing cloth over the top of it and press that down. You do not iron, but if you're using your regular iron, you would press it into place with your iron. Makes sense?
Simple.
And
just like putting interfacing on.
It's like what?
Putting interfacing on a garment. Don't slide it, just press.
Press down. Do not slide. And that's it. That you're basically done, and your project is ready to go. You're ready to put your items in there.
That is so easy, Cindy. So easy.
And I like, if it's too hard to do, I'm not likely to do it. If it's going to take too long to do it, I'm not likely to do it. But if it's a quick, fast stitch out and a quick, fast cutting project, I'm all over it.
I totally agree. In fact, if it's going to take forever to get organized, I want to make sure that it's something fast to get organized.
Both cute.
Love it. And cute.
That's the other thing. I mean, we are in creative spaces. You don't want boring stuff.
Well, I'm looking over here and I have quite a few of those bins that are still in brand new packages. And I was like, I'm going to use these, but I'm not sure what for. Well, I like your idea way better than putting UFO all over them. And I have quite a bit that I need to organize. So I'm going to be busy now.
In the works, in progress, needs to get finished.
Out the door.
Not done.
Give it to a friend.
I like the positive of in the works.
Yes, I do too. Cindy, these were great organizing projects. And I know everybody watching, those were 2 great tutorials. And if you have the Luminaire and the ScanNCut that talk to each other, this is a great tutorial to save and go back and refer to, because what you showed there is very simple. It could be used in a lot of different ways.
Yes. And just keep in mind that my connection, the applique patch for selected colors, if you've watched, I'm pretty sure I did this on another one. You can actually do any stitch-based item and turn that into an applique patch. You can turn different sections of it, which is just awesome.
It's awesome. All right, Cindy, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you next, because I think next you're going to be showing us another cool quilt out of the software, and you're going to teach us how to do it on our own. I'm very excited about that. All right, so all of you, thank you for watching. Make sure that if you do this, share. There's the hashtags up above, and there's the website down below to visit your brother dealer. Cindy has a live show every Tuesday. I have a live show every Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you, and have a wonderful day. Happy organizing, Cindy.
You too. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.